Picture this, it's a regular evening. You're sitting in a cafe, across from someone you've been getting to know. The conversation starts light and easy, but soon the tone shifts a few playful jabs, a sarcastic comment, something that hits just a little too close. You smile awkwardly, pretending it's fine. But deep down, it stings. Have you ever felt that the moment when someone crosses the invisible line of respect and you act like it's nothing? A man I once interviewed told me something I'll never forget. The moment you accept disrespect, you tear away a piece of your own worth. And he was right, not just for men, but for all of us. Respect isn't something you demand. It's energy, something you create by knowing when to walk away. It's not arrogance. It's not ego. It's the quiet strength of someone who truly understands their own value. A psychologist once said, "When you dare to say no to what's wrong, you teach others how to love you better." That's where real respect begins, not from others, but from within yourself. I want you to picture this. In every relationship, there's a rhythm. Two people moving together, finding a flow. But when both try to steer at once, the vehicle of love starts to lose its direction. Someone once told me, a ship can't have two captains, and the same is true in love. Happiness doesn't come from control. It comes from guidance, from someone who helps keep the journey from drifting off course. I know, in today's world, the idea of leadership in a relationship can sound outdated. But it's not about power, it's about responsibility and direction. When a man knows where he's going, he creates a sense of safety, a calm assurance that allows a woman to walk beside him with trust. But when he's unsure, indecisive, or lost, that relationship slowly becomes a maze of doubts and silent wounds. Be honest, have you ever felt that small pang of doubt? When the person you love gets a little too close to someone else? It's small, almost invisible, but it eats away at trust, one thought at a time. Boundaries aren't about control. They're about protection. Protecting respect, protecting trust, and protecting the very core of what your relationship stands for. A psychologist once said, "Love needs freedom, but freedom cannot exist without trust." And I believe that trust begins when both people know their roles, the one who leads and the one who walks beside, moving in the same direction toward something greater than themselves. I once heard a mentor say, "Responsibility without the power to decide will always lead to injustice." That line stayed with me, especially when I thought about relationships. Because when you carry the weight of protecting, providing, and guiding, you also deserve the right to have a voice. Not to control, but to protect what you're responsible for. Imagine a captain forbidden to give orders, but if the ship sinks, he's the one to blame. Sounds absurd, right? Yet that's exactly how many people live in love. One person bears the emotional, financial, and mental load, while the other denies their right to lead. I'm not talking about dominance. I'm talking about fairness, the natural balance of roles. If you're the one who sets the course, you need to be trusted. And if you're cared for, you need to show appreciation. Even small gestures like making someone coffee in the morning aren't signs of submission, but signs of understanding. A marriage counselor once said, "Love isn't 50-50. It's both people giving 100%. And in that giving, responsibility always walks hand in hand with decision making. Because without that balance, every effort turns into exhaustion. True love isn't about control. It's about harmony. It's when both people understand that power doesn't exist to dominate, but to protect what matters most. There's something fascinating I once heard from a professor of gender psychology. He said, "The way a woman looks at you is the mirror of your true value. If she can't see confidence, direction, or purpose in you, she won't see you as a man worth following. Not because she's cold, but because she responds instinctively to the energy you project." Have you ever noticed that in the same room, some people make heads turn, while others seem completely invisible? It's not about looks. It's about presence, the energy you carry. Women sense it almost immediately. They can see in a man the quiet strength, the discipline, the sense of purpose. When a man has a vision, self-respect, and control, he naturally radiates a kind of magnetic pull. The kind that makes people want to be around him, to feel safe with him. I've traveled through different cultures and learned one truth that never changes. Loyalty is still the most sacred measure of love. Whether you're in Canada, Europe, or Asia, when a woman chooses to stay beside you through your hardest seasons, that's not just love. That's deep recognition, a silent way of saying, I see your worth. Remember this, women don't need perfect men. They need reliable ones. And loyalty on both sides. Is the invisible thread stronger than beauty, wealth, or charm? Because in the end, what keeps love alive isn't passion. It's the quiet trust that two souls are truly seeing each other. And that's where most relationships start to quietly fall apart, not because of betrayal or lies, but because of silence. The kind that creeps in between two people who once couldn't stop talking. It starts small. You avoid saying what's on your mind because you don't want to start a fight. You tell yourself, it's not a big deal. You smile when something stings. You stay quiet when something feels unfair. Days go by, then weeks, then months. And before you know it, the person beside you has become a stranger you still call mine. You see, the death of connection rarely comes with explosions. It's quiet, slow, almost polite. It happens when honesty is replaced by convenience. When you start saying what sounds right instead of what feels true. When your heart is still present, but your voice has already left the room. In that silence, people don't grow together, they just coexist. Two souls orbiting the same space but never touching anymore. It's comfortable, it's peaceful, but it's empty. Because love, real love, isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about having the courage to speak, even when your voice shakes. It's about choosing discomfort today to save connection tomorrow. It's about being brave enough to be misunderstood if that's what it takes to stay real. The truth is, no one teaches us how to fight the right way. We either explode or go silent. But the art of love lies somewhere in between. In the raw honesty that says, I don't agree, but I still choose you. Because silence may keep the peace, but it kills the intimacy. And sometimes, the softest words left unsaid are the ones that echo the loudest. There comes a moment when love starts to feel heavy. Not dramatic, not broken, just heavy. You wake up one day and realize the things that used to make you smile now feel like obligations. Their touch doesn't spark the same warmth. Their presence doesn't calm you anymore. And yet the idea of leaving still feels impossible. Because love doesn't always fade like people say it does. Sometimes, it lingers, quietly, stubbornly, like smoke after a fire that refuses to die out. You start asking yourself silent questions. Is it them? Or is it me? Am I tired of this person? Or just tired of trying? And those are the kind of questions that don't have answers, only echoes. You scroll through old photos, remember better days, and wonder how something so beautiful became so complicated. You tell yourself maybe things will get better, that love always goes through phases. But deep down, you feel something shifting. It's not anger. It's not resentment. It's something quieter, the slow realization that wanting someone and being at peace with them are not the same thing. And that's the hardest truth to face. Because no one prepares you for the grief of loving someone who still loves you back, just not in the same way anymore. So you stay not because you're happy, but because you're scared. Scared of being alone. Scared of being wrong. Scared of starting over. But love isn't meant to be a cage you decorate with memories. It's meant to be a space where you can breathe, where you can grow. And if staying starts to suffocate that version of you, maybe walking away isn't selfish. Maybe it's sacred. Because sometimes, the bravest thing you can do for love is to let it go before it forgets what it was meant to be. The first few days after letting go feel unreal. You wake up and reach for your phone out of habit just to remember there's no one waiting on the other side anymore. The silence hits different. It's not peaceful yet. It's the kind of silence that hums in your chest, like a song you used to know but can't listen to anymore. You start replaying everything, the laughter, the fights, the I love yous that once felt eternal. You tell yourself you did the right thing, but at 2 a.m., logic doesn't matter. Only the echo does. You'll miss them in small, inconvenient ways. In the empty space on the couch, in the songs you skip halfway through, in the instinct to share something funny, but then stop yourself. It's strange how grief for someone who's still alive can hurt more than death itself. Because they're out there, living, breathing, laughing just without you. But here's what no one tells you. Healing doesn't begin the moment you walk away. It begins the moment you stop walking back. One day, you'll wake up and realize you didn't think about them first thing in the morning. You'll pass by that familiar street and your chest won't tighten anymore. Their name will come up in a conversation, and instead of pain, you'll just smile softly, grateful, not grieving. That's when you'll know you've stopped loving them for what they were and started loving yourself for what you've become. Because every ending leaves behind a quiet kind of wisdom. The kind that whispers, you didn't lose them, you found you. And in that stillness, in that gentle return to your own heart, you realize love was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to teach you how to stay whole, even after it leaves. At first, you don't even notice the change. You're still moving through the days quietly. But something in you has softened. You stop checking their last scene. You stop comparing new faces to old memories. You start to laugh again, not because you're pretending to be okay, but because, for the first time, in a long time, you actually are. Healing doesn't come like a storm. It comes like sunlight through a window. Slow, gentle, almost unnoticed, until one day, everything looks different. You start enjoying your own company. The coffee tastes richer. The air feels lighter. You begin to understand that solitude isn't loneliness. It's freedom wearing silence like a crown. And maybe you'll meet someone new, or maybe you won't. But this time, you're not searching to fill a void. You're simply sharing your overflow. Because love, when it returns, will not be about survival. It will be about choice. Not a need to complete each other, but a desire to walk beside one another whole, healed, free. And you'll realize, the version of you that once begged for closure has quietly become the version who is the closure. No resentment, no bitterness, no regret. Just a soft gratitude for everything that broke you open and everything that helped you bloom. You'll look back and see that love was never the ending. It was the bridge. The bridge that carried you back home to yourself. And standing there, beneath the vast sky, you'll whisper the words you once longed to hear from someone else. I'm proud of you. You made it. Time passes, seasons shift. The world keeps moving. And so do you, quietly, gracefully, like a tide that's learned how to come home without crashing. There's no grand moment, no fireworks, just a quiet afternoon when you catch your reflection in a cafe window and realize you look at peace. Not the kind that comes from getting what you wanted, but from finally understanding why you didn't. The love you lost no longer aches. It hums softly in the background, like an old song that reminds you who you used to be. And how far you've come since. You don't chase meaning anymore. You live it. In the way you water your plants, in the way you laugh without looking over your shoulder, in the way you speak gently to others and to yourself. Because healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about carrying it with grace, knowing it shaped you, but no longer defines you. And when love comes again, you'll meet it differently. Not with the fear of being hurt, but with the calm of someone who knows they'll survive if they are. You'll love not because you're desperate to hold on, but because you're free to let go. That's the full circle. The ending that was never really an ending. Just the beginning of becoming who you were always meant to be. And as the world exhales around you, you'll smile softly, quietly, knowing that sometimes the most beautiful love story is the one you write with yourself.